Okay, good. So today we'll be discussing design options, which is a feature in Revit that allows us to make multiple iterations of one or more parts of our model. So for example, I can model multiple facade iterations on our building and have the same ability to save and cycle through these different options. So these options are meant to be temporary, and ultimately the goal is to select one option and then make it permanent and move forward with the model. Another benefit to design options is that all options can be presented simultaneously on a sheet. So that's the gist of design options. We'll get into how we can start using it. So right here, I have a simple model of, I would say, a commercial storefront. And I want to have different facade options to present to my professor. And I've already created a few iterations with my curtain walls. So this one has its own specific grid. The next one, if it loads, any day now, will be another option. And then likewise for my third iteration will be its own curtain wall facade. Okay. And that didn't go because I think I have some panels here. I'm just going to remove those for a sec. Okay, filter, curtain panels, and we'll make this a glazed system. Okay. Sorry for that hiccup. Okay, so how can we do this? Well, design options are found in our Manage tab at the top, right here, right below it, so it's easy to find. But it's simpler to head to your bottom bar, and then you'll find the same option there. And then when we click our design options, we have this dialog. And a few things to mention: we have set, we have options, and then something called make primary. So I'll make a set, and basically what a set is the category to which our iterations will be placed into. So it could be a location in your model, it could be a set of several items. So it's up to you to determine what your set will be. And then within each set are your different options, which in my case will be configurations of my storefront curtain facade. So I've made my set, I clicked new, and this showed up. I have one option, so by default, it's primary. What I mean by primary is that it will be the default option to be displayed in your Revit workspace. So you'll have multiple options. I'll add new options right here. So let's say I have 3 options. And by default, our primary one is the first option, so that's what is going to be viewed. Right now, there's nothing in our design options. Think of your design options as folders. So you have your workspace, which holds all the items or elements in your building elements, essentially. And then you'll have a folder to which you can put your elements into the design options. And within these folders, you can edit and select all the elements that are inside, but nothing that is out of it, and vice versa. If you're in the main model and you have items or elements that are within your options, design option sets, then it becomes uneditable and unselectable in your main model workspace. So we've created our set with our 3 options. Now it's time to place our elements inside. So let's see, let's do edit selected. Okay, so now we're inside our editing space and we don't really have anything. So I'm going to copy this facade into the space. So I click finish editing. Now I'm in my main model space and I could, oops, select this, only this item actually, and add to set. I'm going to choose our primary set. And now I'm clicking my facade, but it's not selectable. So now I know it's in my design options and it's going to be in our primary option. In order to access it or edit it, I'll have to select edit selected and choose the option that I want available. And now I have the freedom to go into my workspace and change this around. So as I mentioned, only these items are available because I placed it into that folder. Anything that's in my main model workspace, like these walls or these levels, are not selectable. In order to create another option, we'll have to create another wall for it to be placed into it. So I can take this curtain wall, I could copy it. So I press Control C or Command C on Mac. And I also have the option to copy through this button here, copy to clipboard. So now that it's copied in Revit, I could switch over to my option 2 set. As you can see, nothing's in it. My facade is in our option 1 folder. Now we're heading into our option 2 folder. And then from there, I could paste my Revit curtain wall into it. So I'm going to the Modify tab and under Paste, Align to Same Place. And it should show up once it loads. Yeah, so there now it showed up and I could change to my different facade iteration. Facade number 2, this will take a little time to load. You got it. You got a computer. Okay, and now that it's in, we'll see if we cycle through our options. Our option 1 has our previous curtain wall, and our option 2 has our new curtain wall. We'll go ahead, or I'll go ahead, and head to option 3 to place my last iteration. So I've already had my curtain wall copied into Revit, so I can go to Paste and select Align to Same Place this time, and change it again to our facade iteration 3, which will again take some time because, okay, that's fine. So now we have our 3 options. One thing to note, okay, so I can make a, yeah, close. Okay, so I'm back in my main model. These options aren't selectable. I can now go to design options and select a primary option that I want to make default display in our main model. So I'll go to option 3, select make primary. Okie dokie. And now this is our preview, or this is our default display for a model. Okay, say you go to your desk, right? You speak to your prof, discuss these iterations, and eventually you both decide on one of these options. When you head into your design options, you have the ability now to accept a primary. So whatever is set to primary will then be made permanent in your model. So these are all temporary options you can cycle through. They're not selectable, editable, but once you make it one option primary and accept the primary, then it will be placed into our main model. So I have to edit selected. This is the option that I'm going with. Yeah, so you'll have to have the set highlighted, otherwise this will be grayed out, and that's why I was a bit confused. And then once you select primary, deleting an option set causes all of its secondary options and associated elements to be deleted also. So you can't retain this after you set one of these options to primary. The other 2 options will be lost. So that's one of the drawbacks. close. And now our option is now part of our main model, and we do not have any design options in Revit anymore. Okay, I'm going to undo that. So we have our options back. Some items on visibility. So when you go to your visibility graphics section, visibility graphics, or you could type VV or VG for the shortcut. I discussed this in the previous tutorial, but now we have a new tab available just for our design options, and it lets us select what we want visible in our main model. So we have the option to use a primary to make our default display, but in this tab, we also have an ability to override that and select an option that will display in this specific view. So I could go with option 1, and that's showing. And because this is view specific, so I could create another 3D view. Let's do that. I'll have my existing view in the project browser. I could right click and duplicate it. So now in this view, I can change what is displayed. And in this view, I'll have option 2. So I'll cycle through the 2 views. They're the same model. It's just each view is deciding to show a different design option. And so when it comes to presenting these images to your prof or have it for presentation, then the idea is you'll have multiple views copied, and each view will have their own display of an option. So we'll go do that to show you what that means. I'm making 3 copies, or 2 copies and 3 in total, of our south elevation because we have 3 different design options. And I could rename these so that they are defining what these views show. So south, iteration 1, iteration 2, and lastly, iteration 3. And with each view, as I mentioned with our visibility graphics, typing VV, we can select which option we want shown in each. So I'll go through each south elevation and choose a different option. So this is option 1. VV to open visibility graphics, and under the design option tab, I'll choose option 2, and then lastly, this is our 3rd option, which I think is already there. Okay, so now we've organized our views and design options, and we could place it into our sheets now. So I'm simply clicking on the view and dragging it into one of the sheets that I've already made. And an easier way is if you have the sheet open, you can simply click the view in Project Browser, drag it over and drop it. And so now you have 3 presentations of your facade configurations. And that's a really simple way to do with design options. You don't have to create a whole new model just to show these different layouts. So one of the benefits of design options. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to cover there. One more item just to note is that say I have an item like a window or a door that's hosted onto a wall, and I want to make different design options for that. So I could go ahead to the design options button, create a new set. This one will be for our windows. Rename. So I'll call this windows, and distinguish between the two. I'll rename this as well. Curtain wall. Yeah. So with our windows, one of the drawbacks is that you'll have to bring in all the elements that are connected or linked to our window item. So our window is hosted onto a wall. We can't just bring our windows into our design option. We have to bring everything that it's connected to or affecting. Another example is if you have a wall and you have different roof iterations that are affecting your wall, anything that's connected to the roof or the wall should be brought into the design option. So I'll go ahead, I'll take my windows and wall. I could cut it, so this button up here or Control X, and then when oh no, doing it wrong. I could just select them and then click our Add to Set button. And this will go with our Windows set and primary option. Okay. And if I want to add to another set, I'll have to create that wall again. Okay, edit selected. And in this case, oops. It's not going. Okay, there. I'd have to copy it and bring it into another option. Paste is in our Modify tab, and Align to same place is what we'd like. And then from here, I could adjust my windows and create the pattern or configuration that I want. So that's one thing to note, is that with design options, you can have a certain element that you want to change, but if it's connected or affecting another element, say a host element, then that also has to be brought into our design options.